I was going to also mention the yen carry trade. So you have a lot of investors have been investing in the yen, the Japanese yen, because their interest rates have been close to zero for the last 30 years.
Okay.
Now, what they do is they'll get loans and get money from the Japanese market, and then they'll invest that. They've been for the last 30 years, they turn around and invest that money in the stock market in America
I
and
see.
invest in also different assets in America. Well, last year, and this been continuing on this year, Japan has been increasing their interest rate, right? So that uh, decreases the strategy, I'll say, that the
Mhm.
companies have been having, and the profitability of the companies buying into the U.S. market. So now you have a lot of investors, foreign investors, that are pulling their money out of the U.S. stocks and investing it back into Japan and also into other countries. So this is why when you talk about the stock market being a bubble, this is why people are considering it to be a bubble, because a lot of companies, whether it's countries that are using the yen carry trade to invest in the stock, or it's the U.S. government, or it's U.S. corporations reinvesting in their own company, buying their own stocks. This has created the inflation that we see or have seen over the past 3 to 5 years, and people are expecting that real soon there's going to be a correction in those prices.
Mm. Okay. So that we're talking about the stocks and the bonds. So now we know that we need to be leery or at least educate ourselves on the bonds. And you're saying maybe the same about the stocks, the stock market?
You have to look closely. Yes, you have to look closely at the stock market and decide what you want to invest in. Right,
Mm.
right now, the S&P 500 is, that's the tech stock market. It's
Okay.
been doing well for the last 5 years, but we've actually had all-time highs for the last 3 years consecutively. So that doesn't normally happen. And usually after a certain point, you do hit a recession. And so people are expecting that a recession is right around the corner, if we're not in a recession, right now.
I've heard people say that they've actually lost money in their retirement accounts, and I'm assuming that the stock market is attached to their retirement accounts. Um, can you speak a little to that? Why is that happening?
Okay, so yes, retirement accounts are connected to the stock market, right?
Okay.
That's actually what they're invested in. So you
Mm.
put money into your IRA, to your retirement account, and your company invests, a portion into your account as well. They're investing specifically in the stock market, but generally the employees don't know what stocks they're invested in, and
Mm.
oftentimes they're invested in junk stocks, right? Not the stocks that are doing exceptionally well, like the AI stocks. So that actually helps to prop up the stock market as well, because you have all of these retirement accounts that are attached to the stock market. So that boosts the stock market. But when you have any type of crises, then you'll see it in your IRAs, because it will affect the stock market and thus affect your IRA.
And you have no control over that, sounds like.
Well, that's the thing is, when you have an IRA attached to your company, it's a passive way of investing, right? Versus an active investor actually knows the stocks that they're invested in. All right.
Okay.
So a lot of most people don't know what their IRAs hold, right? Which they generally hold stocks and bonds. But if you don't know what you're holding, then you don't know why it goes up and you won't know why it goes down.
So one of the things that I've been telling people is that if they are able to, because everybody can't pull their money out of the stock market, and I'm not telling them to do this, but if you desire to roll over your stocks into a gold IRA, or your IRA, your investment to a gold IRA, you can. And there are companies like Miles Franklin Precious Metals Company that will allow you to do that. If you're interested in doing that, then I would encourage you to give Andy Scheckman, the CEO of Miles Franklin, a call, or any of their brokers at 952-929-7006, or you can send an email to info@milesfranklin.com. Let them know that Dr. Kia Pruitt referred you, so you can get the best prices in the industry. Now, while you're getting a gold IRA, this program allows for you to actually take some of the physical gold into your possession. So that's just an idea out there if you are interested in taking your IRA and rolling it over into something that's a little more tangible, that's attached to the gold markets. Dexter, where do we go from here? We talked about stocks and bonds, but I know you had a lot to say about what you called the everything bubble happening. Where would you like to take a discussion from here?
Well, I would say that the soundest investment right now is hard metals, all right?
Okay.
Precious metals, whether it be gold, silver, and copper. As we see, the copper prices have been going up this year substantially.
Not only are they going up, in many places you can't even find it. They don't have any copper available.
Because there's a run. Everybody's running to the precious metals. And again, financial advisors almost never, for the last 30, 40 years, almost never advise their clients to invest in hard metals, right? Because it does the economy well for everybody to be invested in the stock and the bonds, right?
Okay,
That's where everything moves up. And then when you're invested in hard metals, that's secure for you, right? As an investor, that's a secure way of knowing that your money actually has value. So now, right now, everybody, I won't say everybody, but a lot of people are fleeing outside of the stocks and reinvesting at least a portion or a percentage amount into gold, silver, and copper. So that would be the sound investments that the people are flocking to currently.
Now, why metals? What's so significant about metals like gold, silver, and copper?
Well, they have a store of value, right? We know the value that they have, right? We know that they have practical use versus Bitcoin, for example. No one can tell you the practical use for Bitcoin. They say, okay, we have Bitcoin mining stocks, but who mines Bitcoins, right? And how can you use them practically, right? It's a financial instrument that was created similar to the dollar, and the attachment to the Bitcoin is your imagination, but it's not attached to anything aside from that.
Okay, so hard assets, and you said something to me earlier. I think it was either today or yesterday. You said if you don't hold it, you don't own it.
Absolutely.
So we talk about Bitcoin, we talk about stocks and bonds. Those things, they have value, but you know what value silver and gold have, and you own it when it's in your hands.
Absolutely. Also, it's actually a good time to look into the housing market, right? Because we've actually been seeing a deflation of the housing market over the last year. So the housing market hit all-time highs a few years ago. They were at ridiculous prices because we had foreign investors, we had corporations buying up all of the houses, which skyrocketed the housing market, created the scarcity, as well as the immigration, right? We had tens of millions of new immigrants come into the country over the past few recent years. They have been since deporting a lot of people, and this is causing the housing market to cool down. So we've been seeing, if you look at what's the on Zillow, for example, they said about half of the houses on their market have taken decreases over the last year. So if you look on Zillow, you'll see like 10%, 20% decreases in the prices, and that's expected to continue.
So we heard that before about a housing bubble. Now, what does that mean exactly? Is that what you just explained?
Yes, if you remember the housing crisis in 2007,
Hmm.
right, when the housing market crashed, right, they dropped the prices substantially, right? But that actually meant that a lot of people lost their wealth because in America, most people's wealth is stored in their house, right? It's tied to their
Okay.
house.
Okay.
So
Mm.
the majority of their wealth is the ownership of the house. So once you lose that house, that means that you've lost a lot of your wealth, if not all of your wealth.
Mm.
Um, and then also, if the housing market, so say you bought a house 3 years ago for $300,000 and you go to sell that house today that house is not going to sell for $300,000, right?
Okay.
You're going to have to sell it at a much cheaper price. And so
Mhm.
that means that you're going to take a hit, right, financially. And if for the new buyers, it's good, but for the sellers, it's a problem.
Okay. Okay. Speaking of it being good for the buyers, Sister Linda said, yes, the immigrants are losing their property now due to deportation.
Yes.
Now, how is that a benefit for Americans, though?
Well, you have supply and demand, right?
Okay.
So when there's a high demand for any goods,
Hmm.
then and there's a scarcity, right? So when we're talking about the housing market, for example, if you have an influx of people coming to buy the same amount of houses that we have, then the prices of those houses are going to go up astronomically.
Okay.
Now, when people leave those houses, the prices are going to go down because the demand goes down based on the fact that there are fewer people that are needing those houses.
Interesting, because this is an opportunity for people who have held cash.
Yes.
Now that immigrants are leaving those, because some of them had whole neighborhoods, and we pray that they do well in their countries, but they had whole neighborhoods. So there are businesses that are vacant, commercial property that's now vacant, houses, apartment complexes, whole apartment complexes that are vacant. So I would like for you to speak to how, even in the middle of a recession and depression, if you are prepared, you can, and avail yourself, you can actually accumulate wealth.
Well, Warren Buffett over the last year has been advising people to store cash, to hold cash. That's
Okay.
because when a recession hits, when a depression hits, the prices of most goods goes down substantially.
Mm.
But when you have a liquidity crisis that we're in right now, for example, where most people don't have cash, then those who hold the cash will be the buyers, and you can buy things for pennies on the dollars. So even the stocks, right now, I would say don't or be leery about investing in the stock market, the AI stocks, I'll say in particular, not
Mhm.
the stock market as a whole, but know what you're investing in, and then give time for these stocks that are high priced to correct,
Mm.
because there will be a correction and you'll be able to invest in these stocks at pennies on the dollar.